Hi, welcome back to Looking Through the Windshield. My name's Chris. I've been a truck driver for over 25 years now, and I started this channel to go back through some of my life stories, some of the life lessons, and maybe impart, if you want to call it, some road wisdom for you. And if you're a new driver, an experienced driver, or just someone who's curious as to what guys like me have to say, well, welcome on board. There are many things that I have really learned over my time driving a truck. I've been in 35 of the lower 48 states, which constitutes the vast majority of the U.S. And in that time, I've seen so many things that I would have never seen if I wasn't driving a truck. I've seen so many parts of the country that most people never get to see. And I've learned so many things that I would have never learned if I wasn't driving a truck. One of the things that I wanted to start off my channel with to let people know is one of the many things you don't learn in CDL school. And that's the school where you train to drive a truck, and then through the CDL school you get your CDL, and then you go into trucking, usually with companies who don't mind hiring beginners. But one of the things they never ever teach you, especially when you're first starting out, is that you will get lonely on the road. And when I first started so many years ago, there was no cell phones, there was no internet yet, there was none of that. We had pay phones at every truck stop. There was actually phones on the booths in the restaurants where you could call home using a calling card. But you took money to use that calling card. So most drivers, they didn't call home that much because long distance calls cost more money, which costs you more money when you're on the road. So we sacrificed in not calling home as much. I probably called home maybe once or twice a week. And so being out as long as I was at the time, I personally was out an average of about 3 months at a time, home for about 24 hours, and then gone again for another 3 months or so. And in that time, you definitely get lonely. They don't train you for that. Nobody trains you for that. And the thing with loneliness, it's not an all the time thing. It's basically like a roller coaster. It goes up and down, highs and lows. Sometimes corkscrews because everything else is going sideways as well, but it just keeps going until you learn how to deal with it. One of the most important things about loneliness is coming to terms with it. You never truly get over it. You have to come to terms with it. And in order to come to terms with it, you have to get to know the person upstairs, yourself. You have to know whether or not you can handle that kind of loneliness. And unless you know about it, you don't know if you can handle it until you're in the middle of it. And being gone as long as I was, that was a very hard thing to come to terms with. Back at the time, we didn't have TVs in the trucks. There was no satellite dish until later on in the years coming through. So all we had really while we're driving is the CB radio or AM FM. And at night, you might pick up AM better because the bands travel further. Or if you're getting closer to a city, you can pick up an FM. That keeps your mind off the loneliness for a little while. But when you're alone by yourself and the tires are humming and the scenery is just going by, you see little towns, you see houses, you see families, the families passing by you and the little kids are trying to get you to honk the horn. That can really tug at your heartstrings and make you really want to be at home. We're social animals. We were designed to be that way. We were designed to be around other people, not isolated by ourselves. So loneliness can be a very big hurdle to get over. And some people find that they can't handle it. They take their keys, they lock up the truck, and they're out of there. They're gone. They're going to do something else. So while you're on the road, You really do find different ways of battling it. Some guys do what we call truck stop hopping, is they'll stop every so many miles or every so many hours, stop at a truck stop just so they can talk to the cashier or another driver or something like that. Because you can't always talk to somebody on the radio. Your radio may not be strong enough, or theirs may not be strong enough, and you just, especially at night or some parts of the country, you're so far apart, you just don't have a reliable signal. And not too many guys out there want to listen to all your troubles while they're driving down the road because they got their own troubles, right? So what you do is you try to find a way to beat that loneliness. One of the ways I found to do that was one day I was traveling through Minnesota and I stopped at the Mall of America, and I spent half a day there just doing window shopping, walking the mall, looking at stuff, see what there is to be seen. And if you've never been to the Mall of America, if it's still around, it's been several years since I've been to Minnesota, stop by there. It is a very cool place. It was huge. They even had a roller coaster inside. So if you get a chance, stop by there. But for me, I ran across this store that had books for sale for 99 cents, $1.99. And I found one that caught my eye and picked it up and started flipping through it. It was my kind of book. So I bought it. And while I was driving, every time I'd stop for my break or for dinner, I'd read a few chapters. And before I know it, I was done with the book. And so that's how I kept going. I started reading books, and by that particular author, I could find a series of books made by him. So the storyline just kept the same footprint through all those books. So I just kept going. And while your mind is working, especially when you're reading, you can't focus on other stuff. So therefore, you can't focus on the loneliness. So you're actually learning to deal with the loneliness by focusing on other things. Now, today, it's much, I would say, easier because we have electronic devices. Everybody's just about got internet in their pocket on their phones. Guys have TVs and game systems and stereo systems in their trucks so they can keep entertained. And now with basically computers in our pockets, we can FaceTime, we can video call our loved ones and take our mind off those long miles, off the road, and helps keep that loneliness at bay until we get home. And another way to get past the loneliness is to break that trip up into smaller chunks. If you have a 1,000-mile run and you're doing your planning, you can say, I have basically 2 days to go from point A to point B. So where can I take my breaks? Where can I stop? What can I do when I have the few extra hours instead of just sitting inside the truck looking at the same little four walls, or sitting in a truck stop looking at a bunch of other lonely truck drivers? So if you plan it properly, you can actually find little hobbies or things to do. You might actually have time to stop and see a movie. You might have time to go to a mall and really enjoy yourself while you're actually on the road, battling that loneliness. And if you do that, you're a step up above a lot of people, because loneliness is a very hard thing to battle if you're at home, let alone if you're out on the road. So if you're an experienced driver who's dealing with this, try those things. If you're a new person coming into trucking, do yourself a favor. Plan for the loneliness. It will come, and it'll hit you without you see it. It'll just sneak up on you, smack you upside the head and say, here I am, you're lonely now. Plan for it, because if you plan for it, you can plan to battle it, and then you can win that battle. Even if it's something as simple as saying you're out a week at a time. I got 5 days before I'm home. I got 4 days before I'm home. I got 2 days before I'm home. I'm home tomorrow. That helps you break up the trip, and it helps you to avoid the loneliness. So I hope this was able to help somebody. If you guys like what you see in here, please share, subscribe to the video. And if you see me looking through the windshield, make sure you honk your horn and you wave high. Until next time, you know me, I'll be looking through the windshield. Bye.